He said we should keep it casual and see other people, so I agreed. He thought he'd have the time of his life. Until he saw me walk into a party holding hands with his favorite celebrity. Suddenly, he wasn't laughing anymore. I'm a 32-year-old guy living in Chicago. I've been here for about a decade now, working in marketing. The city's energy is contagious, and I've always loved the fast-paced lifestyle. About 2 years ago, I met Sarah. She was this vibrant, intelligent woman with a laugh that could light up a room. We clicked instantly and started dating. Our relationship was intense from the start. We traveled together, explored the city's culinary scene, and spent countless nights talking about everything and nothing. I genuinely believed we had something special. A few months into our relationship, Sarah suggested we keep things casual. She said we were both young and should have the freedom to see other people. At first, I was taken aback. I was all in. But she made it sound logical, even mature. So, reluctantly, I agreed. At first, it was weird. The idea of her with someone else not at me. But I figured, if this is what she wants, I should give it a shot too. So, I started going on dates, meeting new people, but nothing ever felt serious. Then came the night that changed everything. A friend invited me to this exclusive party downtown. It was one of those events where you rub shoulders with the who's who of Chicago. I wasn't particularly in the mood, but I thought, why not? I arrived at the venue, a swanky loft with panoramic views of the city. The place was buzzing with energy. As I made my way through the crowd, I felt a tap on my shoulder. Turning around, I came face to face with none other than Emma Watson. Yes, the Emma Watson. Now, I'm not one to get starstruck, but this was unexpected. We started chatting, and to my surprise, the conversation flowed effortlessly. She was down to earth, witty, and genuinely interested in what I had to say. One drink led to another, and before I knew it, we were laughing like old friends. At some point, she reached for my hand, intertwining her fingers with mine. The room seemed to blur around us. It felt surreal. As we moved through the crowd, still hand in hand, I spotted Sarah across the room. She was talking to some guy, but her eyes were fixed on me and Emma. Her expression? A mix of shock, jealousy, and something else I couldn't quite place. The night continued, and Emma and I ended up sharing a cab home. We exchanged numbers and promised to meet up again. But honestly, my mind was elsewhere. The next day, Sarah called me. She wanted to meet up and talk. When we met, she was visibly upset. She admitted that seeing me with someone else, especially someone like Emma, made her realize she didn't want to keep things casual anymore. She wanted us to be exclusive. I was torn. Here was the woman I'd been crazy about, finally wanting the same thing as me. But something had shifted. The whole experience made me question what I truly wanted. In the end, Sarah and I decided to part ways. It was painful, but I think it was for the best. We both needed to figure ourselves out. As for Emma, we did go on a few more dates, but with her hectic schedule and my own commitments, it fizzled out. Still, it was an experience I'll never forget. Life's funny that way. Just when you think you have it all figured out, it throws you a curveball. After that night, things didn't settle. If anything, they got messier. Sarah went quiet for about a week after our talk. No texts, no calls. I assumed she needed space. I was trying to move on, trying to wrap my head around everything that had happened. Then, out of nowhere, I got a text from one of our mutual friends, Megan. All it said was, "You okay?" I replied, confused, "Yeah, why?" Megan sent a screenshot. It was a photo posted on Sarah's Instagram story, a dimly lit table at a fancy restaurant, wine glasses, her perfectly manicured hand resting on top of a man's. The hand across from hers had a very distinct tattoo. I recognized it immediately. It belonged to Ryan, my coworker, my teammate, my so-called friend. They were on a date. I just stared at the screen. My heart didn't drop. It didn't even beat faster. I just felt numb, like I was watching someone else's life explode. Ryan and I had worked side by side for 3 years. We'd gone to Cubs games together, hit the gym, even double-dated with Sarah once before she and I ever had the talk. I didn't want to believe it. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. But the next day at work, he walked in wearing that same smug half-smile he always had when he thought he was winning. He clapped me on the shoulder, said, "Saw your girl the other night. She's doing well." I didn't say anything. I didn't have words for what I was feeling. I just nodded and walked off. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. A few days later, I got another message. This one from Sarah herself. I made a mistake. She asked to meet. She sounded serious, emotional. So I agreed. We met at a small cafe on Clark Street, somewhere quiet, out of the way. She looked tired, like she hadn't been sleeping. She said everything had been a blur since that party. Seeing me with Emma hit her like a freight train. She couldn't stop thinking about it. About me. About us. Then she said the thing I wasn't ready to hear. I was never seeing other people when we were together. I just said that to keep it light. I didn't think you'd actually go through with it. I blinked. Wait, what? She nodded, eyes glossy. It was supposed to be a safety net. I thought if I said that, you'd want me more. I didn't want to look desperate. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. She'd manipulated the whole situation. I was trying to play fair, trying to match her pace, while she was setting the rules and watching me trip over them. I asked about Ryan. She hesitated. Then, it wasn't supposed to mean anything. I ran into him. We talked. It just happened. I stood up. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Don't, I said. I left without looking back. But that wasn't even the worst part. 2 weeks after that, I got a call from Emma's manager. Apparently, Emma had mentioned me in an interview, nothing big, just a throwaway line about a nice guy in Chicago who helped her rediscover a little bit of normal life. The tabloids ate it up. My social media blew up overnight. Random people were messaging me. Journalists were asking if we were dating. My phone didn't stop buzzing. I kept things quiet, didn't respond to any of it. I just wanted peace. But Sarah didn't like that. She posted a long Instagram post, vaguely referencing a man who pretended to be something he wasn't, using her for fame, for attention. She didn't name names, but the timing made it obvious who she was talking about. My friends started texting. So did coworkers. Even my mom called. It was a mess. And it was only getting worse. About a week after Sarah's shady Instagram post, I tried to keep things low. No responses. No online posts. I even muted her. I figured the noise would die down if I didn't feed into it. But life wasn't done with me yet. On a rainy Thursday afternoon, my boss called me into his office. I thought it was just a routine check-in. We'd been working on a new campaign pitch for a big tech client, and I was leading the team. But as soon as I walked in, I saw someone else sitting across from him. HR. My stomach dropped. They handed me a printed-out email, anonymous sender. It accused me of inappropriate use of client interactions for personal publicity. It referenced Emma. The screenshots were attached, headlines about me and her, some photos from that night at the party, even some comments I'd liked on Twitter that looked a lot worse out of context. It was clear someone was trying to make it seem like I was using Emma for clout. It was ridiculous, but the email made me look like a liability. They didn't fire me, but I was pulled off the campaign. Just like that. My reputation at the office? Damaged. Some people believed me, others didn't say anything at all. That night I was sitting in my apartment, just staring at the wall, when I got a message request on Instagram. I almost ignored it, but something told me to check. It was from a girl named Lauren. I didn't know her, but she said, "Hey, I'm sorry this is random, but I think you should see this." Attached was a screenshot. A group chat. Sarah was in it. So was Ryan. And about 5 other people I recognized from the office or mutual circles. The entire chat was full of them planning ways to ruin my image. Apparently, Sarah had taken Emma's mention of me personally, like it was an attack. Her ego couldn't handle it. So she and Ryan had cooked up this whole thing to make it seem like I was fame-hungry, that I'd manipulated the situation for exposure. They were bitter and petty. Lauren said she used to be friends with Sarah, but after seeing what she was doing, she couldn't stomach it. She sent me every screenshot. It took me a solid hour to read through it all. Every fake profile they'd made to comment on my posts, every email draft they shared to send to my job anonymously. It was like a bad high school movie, except it was real, and I was the target. I sent everything to HR the next morning. I didn't hear back for 3 days. Then, my boss called me again. This time, he apologized. HR cleared me. They said they were reevaluating the situation. A week later, I got my campaign rollback, along with a personal email from the CEO of the client company saying he was impressed with my composure. The damage, though, wasn't fully undone. People still whispered. Some folks avoided me like I carried drama on my back. But here's the part that really knocked the wind out of me. A few days after all that, I went to a small music event, local artists, chill vibe, nothing fancy. I was sitting at the bar when I saw Emma again. She came up to me first. "I heard what happened," she said. "Your name's been flying around a lot lately." I gave her the short version, nothing too heavy, just enough. She listened. And then she said something I didn't expect. "Did you know Sarah reached out to me?" I froze. "What?" "She DM'd me a week after our last date. Told me you were still sleeping with her. That you were unstable. Said I should stay far away." I felt my mouth go dry. Emma smiled, not a nice smile. I didn't believe her. But it did make me realize I probably didn't want to be part of whatever storm you two had going. She walked away after that. Didn't even look back. And I stood there, realizing Sarah had made sure to burn every single bridge behind her. And she made sure I was standing on the ashes. The days after seeing Emma again were quiet, but not peaceful. I stopped checking social media. I kept my head down at work. I barely left my apartment unless I had to. My appetite disappeared, and I started sleeping less. I wasn't heartbroken in the usual way. It was more like I'd been hollowed out by disappointment and betrayal layered so thick, I didn't know how to feel anymore. Then came the charity gala. My company had a sponsorship deal with a local nonprofit in Chicago, and attendance at their annual event was part of the deal. I almost didn't go. I sat on my couch in a wrinkled dress shirt for 15 minutes, debating. In the end, I decided to show my face. Act normal. Try to close this chapter cleanly. The venue was packed, soft jazz, champagne flutes, city council members mingling with C-suite execs. I recognized a few coworkers and nodded politely, not really engaging. I made my way toward the bar. That's when I saw her. Sarah. She was wearing this long navy blue dress with a slit up the side and gold heels. Hair curled, smile too wide to be real. And beside her, Ryan. Smug as ever, hand on her lower back like he owned her. Before I could turn away, she spotted me. Our eyes locked. She didn't smile. She leaned into Ryan and whispered something, and then, before I could even make a move, she started walking toward me. Alone. I braced for whatever was coming. She didn't say hello, just looked me dead in the face and said, "Are you happy now?" I blinked. "What? You blew up my life. My friends hate me. My inbox is full of threats. People think I'm some crazy stalker." I laughed short, bitter. "You are a crazy stalker, Sarah. You lied. You manipulated. You tried to ruin my career." She stepped closer, lower voice now. "You embarrassed me. You made me look like some desperate idiot chasing her ex. You were supposed to love me. You weren't supposed to move on like that." People were looking now. Not full-on staring, but the way you do when something's not right in the room. I took a deep breath. "You said casual. You said see other people. So I did. You just didn't like that I didn't crawl back to you. And Emma? That was real. You ruined that too." She scoffed. "Emma wasn't going to stay. You were a toy. A rebound. You think she cared? You cared enough to DM her lies." That hit. Her face changed, lips tightened, eyes blinking too fast. The kind of blink you do when you're holding something back. "I only lied because I knew you'd believe her more than me. I knew she could take you away forever. So your plan was to destroy me?" She stepped back. I was angry. "I didn't think you'd actually bounce back. You were never the type. You were always safe." The insult wasn't even sharp. It was dull, like someone trying to throw punches underwater. At that moment, Ryan walked over. "Everything okay here?" Sarah didn't even turn to him. Then, out of nowhere, she broke. Not a scene, not a scream. She just sat down on the edge of a nearby fountain, head in her hands. Quiet tears. Ryan looked uncomfortable. "Dude, what the hell happened? Ask your girlfriend." He looked at her, then at me. "You're both insane." And just like that, he walked off. I stood there for a minute. I didn't comfort her. I didn't lash out. I just stood there, watching the woman I thought I loved crumble under the weight of her own lies. Eventually, one of the event hosts came over and offered her a tissue. I left. I went home and didn't turn on the lights. I sat in the dark, listening to the city hum outside. All the noise that used to feel electric now sounded like static. Over the next few days, the dust started to settle. Sarah didn't reach out again. Ryan moved to another department, probably couldn't handle the stairs. Megan, the friend who sent me the screenshot, invited me out for drinks. Said I deserved better. Said I needed to start over. I didn't disagree. The reflection came quietly. Not in one big moment, but over time. I learned that trust isn't about how long you know someone or how good things feel at the start. It's about consistency. About actions lining up with words. About not being afraid to say, "I care," out loud. I learned that silence in a relationship is sometimes louder than shouting. And I learned that when someone shows you who they are, don't rewrite the story. Just believe them. As for Emma, we never talked again. Maybe the chapter was always meant to be brief. A wake-up call more than a love story. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not sad, either. I'm just awake.